Susan Rice went on CNN, and she knew where to place blame for what's going on in the country right now and the police brutality and the widespread protests and riots. Let's see what she says.
Who have come to try to hijack those protests and turn them into something very different. And they are probably also, I would bet, based on my experience, I'm not reading the intelligence today or these days, but based on my experience, this is right out of the Russian playbook as well. But we can't allow the extremists, the foreign actors, to distract from the real problems we have in this country that are long-standing, centuries old, and need to be addressed responsibly by new leadership.
You're absolutely right on the foreign interference, because we know for decades the Russians, when it was the Soviet Union, the communists, they've oftentimes tried to embarrass the United States by promoting the racial divide in our country. But what you're suggesting, Ambassador, is that they're still trying to do that? Is that what you're saying?
Well, we see it all the time. We've seen it for years and frankly every day on social media, where they take any divisive, painful issue, whether it's immigration, whether it's gay rights, whether it's gun violence, and always racism, and they play on both sides. Their aim is not simply to embarrass the United States, Wolf. Their aim is to divide us, to cause us to come into combat with each other, to disintegrate from within. And I would not be surprised to learn that they have fomented some of these extremists on both sides using social media. I wouldn't be surprised to learn that they're funding it in some way, shape, or form.
They're funding it. Let's just get this out of the way immediately. There's absolutely, positively zero evidence of what she's saying. Zero. There's no evidence for what she's saying at all. Not even a little bit. This is all they have. Okay, so Republicans are clearly not equipped to handle this moment because they just went from screaming about, freedom and liberty and we want small government and it's tyrannical. They flipped like that as soon as it was black people protesting. Then all of a sudden it became, listen to the cops, shut up, do what they tell you, go inside, get off the street. So they're hopeless, and they're in favor of all these, tough on crime, solutions that are not solutions. They exacerbate the problem. So they're hopeless. But this is what the Democrats are doing. If you're wondering what your standard neoliberal corporatist is up to, here you go. It's embarrassing. That's embarrassing. She said, quote, this is right out of the Russian playbook. Russia had nothing to do with any of this. Wolf chimes in and says, oh, you're right on the foreign interference. You're right on the foreign interference. Based on what? Based on what? It's unbelievable. And then she said, quote, we see it all the time and every day on social media. They want to embarrass us and divide us. The United States does not need Russia to divide us. I got news for you. We're massively divided in 1,000 ways. In 1,000 ways. On racial lines. On partisan lines, on wealth lines, massive divisions, 1% versus the 99%. See, this is the mindset of American exceptionalism that, hey, we're we have our problems, but generally speaking, we're okay. If anything gets a little too out of whack, let's just blame it on a foreign agent, a nefarious foreign force. Because then that excuses us. Then that means it's a little bit out of our control and there's nothing we could have done to change it. I mean, it's a nefarious foreign actor messing with us. So that's where you put your emphasis. That's where you try to address it. Do something there, not we got to go after Russia because they're the ones who are creating this thing here. None of that is true. But if she didn't say that, then she would have maybe had to acknowledge the fact as the brilliant Dr. Cornel West said, that Black Lives Matter started under a black president with a black attorney general. And maybe the administration that you were part of needs to take some responsibility for doing Dickie McGee's acts when it comes to police reform. You know, we have the solutions. We have the answers. Isn't it stunning? In all the segments I've seen, minus the Cornel West one, which was brilliant, and credit to CNN on that one. But all the other chatter on the major media outlets, nobody's bringing up solutions to any of this stuff. Nobody is. Nobody's saying the Campaign Zero reforms, end broken windows policing, have community oversight, limit the use of force, independently investigate and prosecute, community representation for the cops, body cameras on the police that they're not allowed to turn off under penalty of law, new training to de-escalate, end for-profit prisons, demilitarization, fair police union contracts. I'll add on top of that, end the drug war. These are the conversations we should be having, but neoliberal corporatists are so detached from any real attempt to fix the system now that they just go right back to the same thing they always go to whenever there's any problem at all about anything. Russia. It must be Russia. When Trump got elected, Russia. It's got to be Russia. It's got to be Russia. In the case of Hillary, she said Russia, James Comey, the FBI, racism, sexism, deplorables. She got a laundry list of stuff that she was, it's everything but, but me and but us. That's the move here from the neoliberal corporatists. We can't own the fact that our country is broken and falling apart and corrupt beyond imagination and a hardcore authoritarian oligarchy. Can't own that, so we got to pawn off some of the blame. It's got to be, Russia's got to be involved in this in one way or another. And this is the mindset, by the way, which allows the U.S. to further, cement the ideology of American exceptionalism among the Democratic Party and the Republican Party, and also leads to further tensions abroad, leads to more war, leads to more military spending. Because what are we going to do? If Russia's causing all this chaos, well, we better spend more money on the military budget to make sure that, we can take them on if need be. She blamed Russia, man. She blamed Russia. Russia has nothing to do with this at all. Blame the police officer who committed murder. Blame the other 3 who were on his back. Blame the fact that it was 9 minutes. Blame the unaccountable nature and authoritarian nature of policing. Blame the lack of reform. Blame the fact that we have a pandemic and an economic depression, and we don't even have UBI, and there's going to be a crisis in this country, unemployment over 20%. All these things are homegrown. Because this country stopped making rational decisions a very long time ago. I don't know if we ever made rational decisions. But all the bright spots now are going away as well. So it's us. Own it so we can change it, but they don't want to change anything, which is why they don't own it. You could say, oh, this is just stupid of them. No, it's deeper than that. It's not just a stupid thing to say. If it's an attempt to deflect blame, which allows us to not really address substantively the things that need to happen. We need to reform the police, but we also need to make this country a hell of a lot more equal. We also need to fight income and wealth inequality, do UBI, have universal health care. These are things we have to do. None of that's going to be addressed if the entire conversation is based around let's blame a nefarious foreign agent.